are trying to sink the ship.
A collision course at sea. A filmmaker works to expose a shark fin smuggling operation in Central America. It is noon in San Jose, Costa Rica, 11 p.m. in Islamabad. Hello and welcome everybody to World News. I'm Relita Vasilova at the CNN Center. Well, when many people think of sharks, they think of a massive, great white chewing up the shoreline and beachgoers in the movie Jaws. That's what I think about. Well, my next guest wants to change that image we think of and shine a light on the devastating practice of finning. Rob Stewart is a Toronto-based wildlife photographer and filmmaker. His new documentary is called Sharkwater. Rob, thank you so much for joining us. So, of all animals and fish, why did you choose one of the most feared, sharks?
I chose sharks because I realized that people around the world were afraid of sharks, and it was blinding them to the fact that they were being wiped out. Shark populations had dropped 90% in the last 30 years, and nobody knew, nobody cared because they were afraid of them. So I figured if I could turn that perspective on its head through the film Sharkwater, then maybe people would, care about sharks enough to fight for their protection like they fight for pandas and elephants and bears.
But we do need to have some respect for sharks and their territory.
Yeah, absolutely. Sharks are big, powerful animals. They've lived in the oceans for over 400 million years, and they're mostly designed to eat things that live in the oceans. Once in a while, a shark makes a mistake and bites a human being, but they really didn't want to eat the human being. That's why, flesh is, very rarely removed, and sharks don't actually really eat people.
Now, you took a huge risk, 5 years of your life, to do this. Tell us about what it took to make this documentary.
I started out trying to make Sharkwater as a beautiful underwater film that gave people a new perception of sharks. But, the boat that I was on was run by a conservation group called Sea Shepherd Conservation Society. And we ended up in a mid-ocean battle between a pirate long-lining boat that was illegally killing sharks and the conservation ship that I was on that resulted in the two boats colliding. And after the two boats collided, we ended up getting charged with 7 counts of attempted murder for the 7 fishermen on board the boat. And soon realized that there was a lot of corruption in the country that we were in, which was Costa Rica, that was allowing illegal fishing. And, as soon as we figured that out, we ended up having to run from Costa Rica while the Coast Guard was chasing us with machine guns, and we were wrapping our boats with barbed wire trying to prevent the Coast Guard from jumping on board. And it turned Sharkwater into a really sort of crazier human drama with a shark documentary interwoven into it.
Tell us what's the most important thing people need to know about sharks and their importance to the ecosystem.
People should know that sharks sit at the top of oceanic ecosystems that have, persisted for 2.5 billion years. Sharks have been on the planet for 400 million years, controlling populations of animals below them. The same animals that give us 70% of the oxygen that we breathe, and that are also the greatest consumer of carbon dioxide, or the global warming gas that we have on the planet. So when we're thinking about sharks, we need to be considering that, it's not just the oceans that are in jeopardy, it's human survival.
And what do you want people to take away from your documentary?
I hope people come away from Sharkwater with a new view of sharks, counter to Jaws, counter to the media's perception that sharks are mindless killers, and also to realize that life depends on life. The reason why there's life on land is because there's life in the oceans that supports it. And without that life in the oceans, any global warming debate couldn't be considered at all, because it's life that allows life on land. And by destroying the oceans every day, we waste 54 billion pounds of fish every year, while 8 million people die of starvation. And every single fishery will have entirely collapsed by the year 2048. Our relationship with the oceans isn't working, and we need these systems for our own survival.
Rob, thank you so much. Rob Stewart, director of Sharkwater. Thank you for joining us. I'm Relita Vasilova. I'll be back with a check of the headlines.